Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. But I want to move on, since we've talked at length about that, to Google's announcement about Performance Max, which is its sort of automated ad program, replacing shopping campaigns and local campaigns, and the significance of that for small businesses, agencies, and enterprise brands. So, David, why don't you speak to that?
Sure. So yes, I believe linked to this, Greg, in
I
one of
should
the
have
sort
written
of
about it,
the
but I linked
minimal
to it.
minimized
Yeah,
links. Well, there's still an opportunity for that
yeah,
coming up. But so I discovered it through our own newsletter. I hadn't seen it on Twitter or anything like that. It seems to me to be more of a rebranding of Smart Campaigns than a brand new product. There are certainly more bells and whistles, but I took a pretty deep look at Smart Campaigns probably just about a year ago, and actually kind of went through the process as if I were a local business. I think a local sort of like IT company, trying to get more leads and that sort of thing. And the screenshots from the Performance Max announcement that Google came out with this week look very, very similar to that same Smart Campaigns interface. So I do think it's sort of an iteration of
yeah.
Smart Campaigns rather than a brand new product. The couple of big takeaways for me from this announcement, there's clearly a real emphasis on Google Shopping as a sort of channel that this thing is intended to help. They highlight in the documentation around Performance Max, they specifically highlight, hey, if you're on one of these e-commerce CMS systems, there's this automated integration. And so I think it's to me, it's most interesting from that standpoint. I think that the shopping campaigns are sort of the e-commerce equivalent of LSAs in traditional local search, where LSA, you don't really worry about anything, right? You just say, this is my business. This is the type of business I am. These are the services I offer. There's no bid management. There's no ad copy. There's no creative, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These product sort of Smart Campaign or Performance Max campaigns now for products are largely similar, right? You got the image of the product, the description of the product, the price, and then Google just sort of runs with it. And so it strikes me that this is their sort of continued investment in this kind of thing really puts at risk some of the strategic value, if not all of the strategic value, that paid agencies for e-commerce companies can offer. I think it's a great thing for small companies that wouldn't be large enough to afford a decent agency to help them with paid advertising. But I bet we're going to see even larger e-commerce retailers who are currently using an agency to help them with their Google ad spend. Smart ones, anyway, I think will probably A/B test these campaigns versus the ones the agencies are working on. And while I would expect that the agency ones still perform a little bit better, by the time you add in the cost of the maintenance cost, the management fee that the agency is charging, I'm going to guess that these Smart Campaigns or the Performance Max campaigns are going to perform just about as well, if not better. And so I think it does reflect a continuing threat that I think the automation of Google Ads pose when you have a product or a service that can be sort of described as a commodity in the way that LSAs do in local and the way that shopping ads do in e-commerce search. So,
and increasingly shopping ads do in local.
That's right. That's right. We're now seeing many more shopping ads in local. And of course, there's the integration of the Google business profiles in the Google Merchant Center now. So this could sort of bleed into local oriented agencies that work with retailers that sell products.
The pushback to that point, though, I would say, is the customer service dimension that agencies provide to both enterprise clients and to local businesses, because Google isn't going to give you any human interaction. It's just going to be a dashboard, and so there's an interpretive layer and a support layer that agencies can provide that I think has value. And also, if you have an agency that's running multi-channel campaigns, right? They're managing multiple social search, SEO, and so on and so forth. then it's less likely that the enterprise is going to cut them off. Now, maybe they would reduce the scope of the engagement or something like that. But I don't know how many standalone paid search agencies exist these days that would, that where they would.
Oh, I don't think that they're standalone paid search as agencies, but I bet you they have clients for whom paid search is the lion's share of the retainer.
That may be true. That may be true. Having been in a largish company recently, I can tell you that people don't have time. A lot of people don't have time to do that kind of due diligence. It takes a lot of discipline, I think, to do what you're suggesting. I think it's smart, but I think there's inertia, just around writing the check or whatever. So I think that while some people will do that, a lot of people won't, because it just takes time and energy, and people are, tapped out in terms of their capacities.
And I know there's a lot of skepticism, and I think justifiably so, that among agencies that smart campaigns don't perform, or performance max campaigns don't actually perform at the max relative to what an agency can provide. But again, I think that's much more true when you're talking about traditional AdWords, with headlines, ad copy, landing pages, that sort of thing. I think that in shopping and LSAs, it's a totally different ballgame. So
yeah, we were talking before the call started about where this began, and this sort of automation push really began with universal app campaigns in about 2015, and that sort of marks the beginning of the move toward greater and greater automation on Google's part, for whatever that's worth. So that's 7 years ago. It's a while.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.